Hey, everybody. This is the Scary Movie Project, the podcast where we talk about what else? Scary movies. I'm Tara.
And hello, I am Matt. I wonder if you guys are interested to know that a rare book dealer, while seeking out the last two copies of a demon text, gets drawn into a conspiracy with supernatural overtones. Leave the unknown alone in the 1999 film, The Ninth Gate. All right, so right out of the box, I'm just going to be very clear about this. This is one of my favorite movies ever, literally.
Oh my gosh, I love this
Yeah.
movie. So does my husband.
Mm.
It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
And of course, it's Roman Polanski,
Yes, it is.
who, while not really a great person, is an
Can we leave that?
amazing director.
We will leave his
Yeah,
personal
we're gonna
stuff out
leave
of there.
personal stuff out of this, but he's an amazing director.
Yes.
Best known probably for Chinatown and Rosemary's
Oh
Baby.
yeah, no doubt.
Rosemary's Baby, another fantastic horror movie.
Great book. Read it.
Another thing I noticed this time watching this in the opening credits was that it is a French-Spanish co-production.
That's right. Yep.
So it was not produced in Hollywood.
Well, because we're not going to touch on it, but Roman Polanski needs to make his movies overseas now, and that's the last we're going to say about that. So,
I guess at that point he already did.
yeah. He
Yeah.
needs to make his
Okay.
movies
So there you
overseas.
go.
Yep.
Not a Hollywood movie,
No.
French-Spanish co-production.
That's okay.
Because of reasons. Another interesting thing that I learned about this movie was that the characters of the Kaliza twins, who are also the workmen later on in the movie,
Right.
they were not played by a professional actor. They were played by a guy who is by trade an assistant director and production manager.
I think I heard that. Yeah.
He was like nervous about it. And then Roman Polanski himself voiced the part of one of the twins.
Oh, okay. Very good.
So that's one of those twins. I don't know which one is Roman Polanski's voice.
Very cool.
And I also have
those two are weird.
yeah, they're wild. They're fun.
Yeah.
And I think the man who he cast did a fantastic job at it.
Yeah, very good. Excellent.
I think he was great. So I have today I have a drumroll please. True crime connection.
Okay.
The blonde woman who reads the book, How to Make Friends and Influence People. Charles Manson also read and used this book.
Yes, we love Charles Manson around here.
He is responsible for the killing of Sharon Tate.
Ooh, nice.
Roman Polanski's wife.
Very good. Okay, that's a good like 6 degrees, whatever kind of. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
So that's my connection for today.
Okay, no, that's very good.
I had almost forgotten about that one. That's my connection for today.
That's excellent.
So do we want to jump on in?
Oh, this movie's so good. Yeah. Do we just start talking about from the okay.
The fantastic opening, right?
Yeah.
We see an old man at his writing desk.
He's all calm.
Writing a letter. Yep, just writing a letter. And then he just finishes, puts it in an envelope, gets up, walks around the desk, and hangs himself.
And he's in this beautifully ornate office. And of course, they show what's going to happen. They show the footstool.
Right.
They show the noose.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like writing a letter. And he just, okay, now it's time to kill myself.
Gets up and hangs himself.
Yep.
And then there's this amazing shot, this slow pan from I think it's from his feet, his dangling feet, over to the bookshelf and along the bookshelf to reveal one missing book.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, it's such a good opening because all you think is, what happened to that book? What's with the book?
What's going on here? And then it dives, of course, into the credits. And of course, we enter 9 animated gates, of course, to go into before we get into the movie. That's right.
And I have to say, the music, the symphonic music in this is so amazing.
Don't even get started with that stuff.
Good.
I own the soundtrack. Yes, I do. And it is one of the things that makes that movie so amazing.
It's a brilliant soundtrack. Yep. It really is.
I randomly just hum it to myself when it comes and pops in my head.
You so would.
It's amazing.
So then after the credits, right, we're in New York. We meet Johnny Depp.
Dean Corso.
Dean Corso, that's right. Yep. And he's evaluating books for this couple. And he basically fleeces them out of a Don Quixote
Well,
from 1780
remember,
for like almost nothing.
it's this couple, and it's I think the husband's father who had a stroke, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and he's basically like an invalid at this point, and they're going through all his books, and you can see though the guy is still with it because he's like, "Ugh," and he's getting
Yeah.
all mad and he's making a fist because he realizes
Yeah.
they're taking all my millions of dollars of books,
All my good books.
and
Yeah.
he
And
can't do
they're just
anything
selling
about it.
them.
Oh, I would be, and then I love the part where he's leaving on the elevator and you see that other book dealer and that one guy selling, "You're a scrupulous, thoroughly unscrupulous."
Scrupulous. I love that guy. That's such a good,
Yep.
like, just few line role.
It's some of them. I mean, I can
Yeah.
we'll recite lines later, but yeah. And then he goes back to his buddy's bookstore. Yeah, and he has a copy.
Bernie.
1800 or I forget what year it is. Yeah, Don Quixote.
Well, it's the
for
1780 Don
yes,
Quixote
for like $4,000.
Yep, that he sells to Bernie
Yep.
for much more than what he paid for it.
Of course he did.
And so that's when we meet Bernie.
Bernie's
and
rare
then
books.
Bernie's rare books. And then after that, he pops into a lecture about witches at Balkan Press.
Which, by the way, please tell me where there are those happening in the world so I can attend these.
Seriously.
Because that was amazing.
Yeah, and this is where we first see the pretty blonde woman.
So, I believe that whenever I read anything, they refer to her as the girl.
The girl, yes. I know. I wrote in my notes the blonde woman, but she is
the girl.
The girl.
And I believe her name is Emmanuelle Seigner. And
it's definitely Emmanuelle something.
Isn't she married to Roman Polanski?
Yeah, Emmanuelle Seigner.
I believe she is. I believe
she is.
Well,
there we go. There's a connection.
I believe she is.
She's gorgeous. Anyways.
Yeah, she's a model.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So we'll remember her because she'll keep popping up.
Not so much gorgeous as just like I don't even know the right word to describe her really.
Like ethereal.
Yeah. Yeah. She's almost not again, yeah, we'll get to it. She's but
yeah. So she's there. The lecturer ends up being Corso's client, Balkan.
Boris Balkan by Frank Langella. And he is great. I love
so good
his character and some of those lines. So yeah, Corso, he falls asleep in the lecture and he comes over and says, "I'm sorry, did I what does he say to him? He says something to him about him falling asleep. He says, "Oh, did I snore? No, it didn't.
Oh yeah,
thank you for asking. No, you didn't.
Thanks for asking." Yeah. Right. So they get in the elevator to go up to his like penthouse office.
And what is
note?
Okay, yeah, I know what you're gonna say. Say it. Yep.
The floor code.
Yep. 666.
Is 666.
I love it. It gets better.
So good.
And the lines inside the elevator they have with each other are great. Where he's talking about, don't you sleep nights? And he's like, "Oh, like a baby." And he starts talking about these Julius Caesar stabbing people in the back moments. And they just start talking about stuff and how, men like you don't have many friends or whatever. And he starts talking to him and he says, "You don't like me, do you?" And he says, "I don't have to like you. You're a client and you pay well."
Yeah. Yeah. This is our heroes. I use the term loosely. Our heroes' moral code here.
Yep.
We're seeing it very quickly.
Yep.
So Balkan collects books about the devil. That's his collection.
You'll never see a bigger collection anywhere in the world, he says.
It's
right?
huge. And he's just gotten his hands on a masterpiece, The 9 Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows.
Should we talk about how awesome that room is in his collection, though, real quick? Just like how incredible.
His air pressurized room.
With the tinted glass and the doors that open. And by the way, let's also note again, what is the code to open the doors? 666.
666.
That's right. And it has these like tinted glass windows that open. I mean, yeah, this is the kind of stuff that makes this movie so great. Is just these little atmospheric pieces that go into it. Like this is something you would, even if you don't like books, you'd want to go visit this place.
Yeah,
right.
it's so cool.
Oh
and then
God.
There's like the next room with the like open windows and it's a gorgeous place.
Oh my God.
I would live there.
Yes.
And I would keep all the books.
Yes. And the thing is, he's so rich, he doesn't live there. He just has a room for this. That's all it is.
Right. It's just his office or something.
Balkan Press. It's kind of like Trump Tower, sort of, right? Balkan Press.
Yeah. So he tells Corso there are only 3 extant copies of the 9 Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows.
Right.
And he thinks that only one is real.
That's right.
So he wants Corso to go and find out which of the remaining books is real, and then if his isn't the one that's real, to get the real one, right? Because with a real copy of the book.
Well, he doesn't specifically say go get it. He just wants him. I mean, his plan is already done in his head. He's gonna lead him along basically, and he just wants to know if his copy is authentic.
Yeah, so he wants to know if his copy is authentic, and if not, which, if the other ones are. Right. And of course, with the real copy of the book, he could conjure the devil.
So the background, that's also awesome. That book he has is sitting on a pedestal. It basically is set up like you would see in a church, where the Bible is sitting on this, just sitting up there, and it's all by itself. You have these floor-to-ceiling glass windows of New York City. I mean, this thing is, like, presentation-wise unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
And so, reputedly, Aristido Torquio was the author, and he wrote the book, of course, in 1666. Wrote this book, and apparently he wrote it with the devil. And if done right by looking at the engravings, it has the power to conjure the Prince of Darkness. That's right.
Yes. So first stop, Corso goes to speak with the wife of the man who killed himself in the beginning.
Liana Telfer.
Liana Telfer, Liana Telfer. That is who had killed himself in the very beginning of the movie. Right. Her husband, So he had sold the book to Balkan. That was the missing book in his bookcase. I love that Mrs. Telfer calls him a book detective.
Yes.
Making it very clear that this is a noir.
Oh, yeah.
This is a noir detective movie.
He's a gumshoe.
Yes, he is a gumshoe. He's an intellectual gumshoe, if you will. So she is also, kind of a femme fatale, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe just a little.
Oh, yeah. She has that snake tattoo. And they're talking about how they're in his apartment, and he's like, I've seen this before. It's a scene in the movie. The woman pulls up her leg, and she has a gun. And then she shows off, she pulls up her dress, but she has no gun.
Right. But the snake tattoo.
Yeah, the snake tattoo.
So then I think he goes to the library to look up stuff about the engravings and things and the books. And the blonde, the girl is there.
That's right.
But then she's not. But then she is. But no, she's not.
Yeah, he pulls out the book from the bookcase, and when he pulls the book out, he sees her behind. And then it's kind of like that scene in Halloween. Remember when she sees him behind the hedge? It's kind of like that. And then he looks around the corner real quick, and she's gone. It's that same kind of thing.
And she's not there. Yeah. And then he sees her again on a balcony, and then he looks back up, and she's gone.
Yep.
So she's going to keep popping up throughout the movie until we finally really meet her.
That's right.
So after the library, Corso gets back home, and his door is open. His place has been ransacked.
Yep.
So he goes to his bookseller friend Bernie and asks him to keep the book for him until he comes back to get it before he gets on the plane to go to Portugal and France. Compare the books.
I love what he says. I've been seeing a lot of things. Uninvited visitors, unfamiliar faces, he says.
Yeah, so uninvited visitors, unfamiliar faces.
Oh, and I forgot about one other great line about Balkan when they're sitting there in his book floor, whatever it is there, and he gives him the check and tells him this is to get started. About how you never see the money, but you're sure it's probably $1 million or something.
Oh yeah.
More. And they were talking about why he trusts him or whatever, and he says a great line that I use all the time. There's nothing better than a man whose loyalty can be bought for cold hard cash.
Yes.
And I thought that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That could describe a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
yep.
That's a very good line. Yep. So another like just little thing that I love in the scene where he's with his bookseller friend, giving him the book to keep for him for now. The bookshop is partially underground, so the windows are high up and they're at ground level. Yep. And there's this shot of someone dropping a cigarette and then putting it out with their shoe as they walk outside the window.
Yes.
I love
that is good. I forgot about that. Yes.
And
excellent.
I think now that it may actually be the
Telfer?
person who's following him.
Okay, it could be, yeah.
Telfer's man.
Or
now
her.
I think it might be because they make a thing of it.
Mm-hmm. Or it's just something neat to throw in there. Who knows? Right.
Yeah, it's such a good shot though.
Yeah,
oh, it looks so
cool.
good.
I forgot about that.
So then he goes back to his place. Miss Telfer shows up there and asks him to get the book back for her. Oh, and by the way, she smokes black cigarettes.
Oh, they're what are those? What are those? Cloves.
I think they're.
I think, right?
I don't know. Maybe
All the ones all the
I just
clothes
know
I've
they're
ever,
black.
all the clothes I've ever seen are that color usually, or like green.
I
or
just
something.
know they are black as sin.
Yeah, which is interesting. Yeah.
And she is coming onto him hard with her little snake tattoo on her thigh. I mean, dude, she's a femme fatale. Okay, so of course he has to sleep with her because she's the femme fatale.
Of course, and then she breaks a bottle of booze over his head.
Then she tries to swipe the book, breaks the bottle of booze over his head and gets out. So there's no book there, of course.
No.
And when he goes back to Bernie's bookstore, like to go get the book, Bernie is dead, hanging upside down.
Yes.
And we will learn when we start really getting into.
But I think
looking at the book,
maybe because I've seen it so many times, but wasn't that already revealed somehow? Didn't we already see that leading? Or maybe
did we already see that engraving?
I feel like we did. Maybe just I've seen the movie so many times, and I'm just it doesn't matter. But
so whenever we see it, he is hung upside down in the same pose as one of the engravings.
That's right. Yep.
So it definitely seems to have to do with the book.
Yep.
So, and I love this. His reaction is like, he literally like looks at him like kind of dismayed for a few seconds and then just creeps past him to get upstairs to the hidey hole where he can get the book. And then he's off to the airport.
Sure he doesn't touch him or anything like that. Right.
Yeah. And then he's off to the airport. I mean, this is his friend and he's just like, oh, let me go get the book.
I'd say friend is a word to use loosely with him, but that's okay.
That's true. I don't know that he has any true friends.
No. Which plays a role in his character, but anyway.
Yeah. And so of course, after this murder, he calls Balkan from a phone booth at the airport and is like, do you remember phone booths? They're a thing that exists in this movie.
Airport or he was in the cab or whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Oh no, that's right. He stops in the cab and calls him from a phone booth on the street. And he tries to quit.
Yeah, he does. He tells him he's a resourceful guy and he'll double his money or whatever and just go ahead, keep going. Yeah.
And then basically is just gone. He's like trying to talk to him and Balkan's just gone.
Yep.
So he gets on the plane. Oh, that's when he sees that the book has the hanged man in the same posture as Bernie. Yep. So first stop for trying to look at the other two books is Portugal. And he goes to
Spain. It's Portugal. Yeah, I guess.
It's Portugal.
All right.
And he goes to the twin booksellers.
Those guys are great. What are the Cineza brothers, whatever?
The Kalisa twins.
Okay, yeah.
So he goes to the booksellers, and these are the guys who Mrs. Telfer had bought the book from. Mrs. Telfer, not Mr. Telfer, like she told him to begin with.
That's right.
So she lied to him in the beginning and said that her husband bought the book, but she was the one who really wanted it. And the twin booksellers tell him, well, he just bought it for her.
Yep.
They also are the ones who tell him that Lucifer co-wrote the book. Mm-hmm. And did some of the illustrations, and they're like laughing while they're talking about it.
These guys are great, and they're showing. Is that when they start showing them the engravings, the different names inside the engravings, right?
Yeah, they show them how there's different names. Mm-hmm.
So because the cool
there's different little signatures hidden in the engravings.
So most of them say AT for Aristido Torquia, the author, but then some of them say LCF. And it's funny because he shows it to them, and he's talking to them, and he shows it because like look and. Corso sees LCF, and the guys are telling, they're all funny. Think about it, senor. He tells him, and he looks at me and goes, no, you can't be Lucifer. And they're like, well, yeah, pretty much. And they start talking about, those guys are great. And they start talking about how you would forge a book and how you could maybe how hard it would be to make a forgery of a book. And they start going, and you're wondering, like, why do these guys know so much about this stuff or whatever? But yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. And so he leaves after they've told him all this. He leaves, and outside he's almost buried under a falling scaffolding. Yep. So we think that's
right after they made the point to talk about one of the gates, one of the drawings that had a danger from above. Didn't they mention that to him while he was in the store?
Oh yeah, they do. They mention the danger. Yeah,
of course,
they mention the danger from above, and then the scaffolding. Oh, I had not caught that. Good catch. Yep. So then he gets. Then he gets on the train to go visit Mr. Fargus, who owns one of the other books.
The Fargus collection.
And he sees the blonde woman again on the train, and this is when he first speaks to her. The girl, excuse me. He sees the girl. She's very sort of coy and doesn't really answer his questions.
Are you a student? She's like, if you say so.
Yeah, of a sort.
Of a sort, right. She wears mismatched socks with tennis shoes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She does indeed. So he goes to visit Mr. Fargus, one of the Nine Gates book owners, and Fargus points out a slight discoloration on the back of Balkan's copy. So that's how we know Balkan, which ones is Balkan's.
Right. And he lives in a pretty awesome, like, mansion, by the way.
Oh, he lives in, like, an old, like, kind of decrepit mansion. He even talks about how they don't have, like, I think he's a lord or something, a noble, and they don't have the money to keep it up anymore.
I was wondering that. So yeah, obviously he's leaving the place, but they never really explain why. So okay, anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but he still has his book collection.
Sort of. He said he had like thousands of them, and now he only has like 900 or something.
He has some of it.
Right. But all the
and they're like out on the floor.
And he says he dusts them every day, and he says he has like 700 books about the occult. Now I'm just thinking, oh my God, I want to go to your house right now.
Yeah. Are there even 700 books
oh my God.
on the occult in existence? I don't know, but I hope there are.
And that's what I love about part of the thing I love it. I mean, could you imagine seeing something like that? That is amazing.
It's just fascinating.
Yes,
I mean, it would be so interesting to see.
Yeah.
So this is when Corso compares his book, Balkan's book, with the Fargus book. Yep. And that's when he finds there are some discrepancies in some of the engravings. Some of the signatures, where it says AT in Balkan's book, it says LCF in Mr. Fargus' book. So
don't forget the different like keys in one hand.
Oh yeah, and the keys in the wrong hand.
The number of turrets inside the tower and
things like that. So he's finding these discrepancies. So he starts making a list, sort of.
He does. He has a little list he's got.
Yeah. Of which ones have like the LCF signature. And let's see, outside the Fargus estate, he's almost run down by a car.
Yes, he is. And by an unknown assailant.
Yeah, by an unknown assailant. And then a blonde on a motorcycle comes up and speeds away after it.
Who
knows
be?
What happens there?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she's got the visor down on her helmet. So we aren't sure that it's the girl, but we know it's the girl. And then she's at his hotel.
Is she back
when he gets to his hotel? Yep.
Yeah, okay.
So he tells Balkan on the phone. He gets on the phone, tells Balkan about the discrepancies, and says that Fargus said he wouldn't sell his copy for his life.
Mm-hmm.
And the blonde tells him he has to go back. Actually, I guess it's the next morning.
The next morning, she says, "You need to come." Yeah, she knocks on the door. Like
she knocks on the doors. You got to come.
Get up, get dressed. You got to come to the Fargus place. Yeah, right.
You got to see Fargus again. So she takes him there on her motorcycle, and Fargus is dead in his koi pond.
He's sleeping with the fishes, literally.
He is. And the Nine Gates book is burning in the fireplace. He gets it out. He manages to partially save it, but also some of the pages are missing.
The engravings are missing.
Yeah, some of the engraving pages. The engravings have all been pulled out.
Yep.
Yeah. So now the blonde is just with Corso on their way to Paris. She's
Pretty
just
much.
joined him.
Yeah.
She's just like,
and he's like, whatever.
She's like, we have to go to Paris. And he's like, we? And she's like, well, I mean, yeah, there's two of us, right?
Right. Well, they were going, I mean, he had to go anyway because he needs to go visit Baroness Kessler.
Yes. Oh, Baroness Kessler. She's writing
Mr. Corso.
The secretary.
Oh, yeah.
But the Baroness
you have half an hour.
Half an hour.
You have 30 minutes.
The Baroness is writing an autobiography on the devil.
Because I saw him once when I was a girl. I was 15 years old. Yeah, right.
Yes, and she says, and I fell in love immediately.
So Baroness Kessler, should we give background on her? I mean, I don't really know what her background is, I guess.
She's the one who tells him about the Order of the Silver Serpent.
Yes.
Which was like, I think meant originally to protect the copies of the book, but now it's just orgies.
Rich people having orgies. Yes.
Yeah, now it's just rich people having orgies.
But Baroness Kessler, I mean, I don't know she's a socialite, she's an author, she's wealthy, whatever. I don't really know her backstory. And she's in a wheelchair and she's missing part of her right arm. So she was in some sort of horrible accident. Well,
something has happened to her.
maybe I don't know, but we never talk about it. But it doesn't matter, so don't worry.
Yeah, but she is in a wheelchair, and so she also tells him that she also tells him Mrs. Tefler is the one who wanted the 9 Gates.
She gives a very good explanation about a lot of stuff. Yeah, she does.
And that Mrs. Tefler is a member of the order, which I'm guessing is that little snake.
Silver serpent. Oh, yeah, of course.
That little serpent, because it's the order of the Silver Serpent. So she will not let him examine the book because she guesses that Balkan is his client. And
I should have known the Balkan. Yeah.
She kicks him out.
Yep.
She kicks him out. And when he leaves, the man who tried to run him down in the car in Portugal is following him. So he ducks in a bar, stays there for like hours.
Yes. Just smoking and eating like French pastries, which is life could be worse,
There is so much smoking in this movie.
Well, it's Europe.
And well, even in America, but like, man, what kills me is the smoking while they're looking at these like books from like the 1500s and crap. I'm like, no.
Well, I know, but it's funny.
Don't hurt the book.
And we'll get to that funny part of it a little bit later. That's a good point. But that is Europe. I mean, that is how it is. When you're sitting in a cafe, it's smoking and it's drinking coffee and it's drinking wine. And that is what it is. Absolutely.
But not when you're looking at
I know, I agree with that.
Old valuable books.
I agree.
It literally hurts my heart.
I know.
It makes it crumple in my chest.
I know. I know. It's funny.
But so when he leaves the bar, the car tries to run him down again. And then the man's chasing him again, and the blonde rescues him, and she's tough. She kicks the guy in the face and stuff.
Don't forget, when we get to that point, he runs down that stairwell down to like a river or whatever.
Yep.
And the guy comes down, and then here's the best part. The girl shows up again. But remember, she floats, flies down the staircase. I mean, she literally just flies down. She does not touch the stairs. She floats and flies down the stairs. At this point, you're like, okay, this woman is not human. Yeah. And there's something else going on here. But yeah, I remember watching that part for the first time and going, oh, crap.
Oh, yeah. Maybe she's an angel.
Oh, I didn't, you don't.
Maybe.
Right. And then she just basically busts the guy in the face, and they go back to the hotel. And then
she ends up getting a bloody nose during it.
She does.
And
she gets
this is what I love in the hotel room. And it's just such a weird moment that doesn't actually forward the plot, but it's so creepy. She takes some of the blood from her bloody nose in her hands and wipes it on his forehead in 3 lines. Ugh, it's just so weird, and her eyes are glowing when she does it.
So there's a couple times I'll talk about that too. Yeah, where her eyes literally light up like a cat. Yes. It is bizarre. And then he goes and he has phone call with Balkan in the phone booth.
And Balkan tells him, go back and see Baroness Kessler while the secretary's on lunch break.
Try the lunch break, he tells him. And of course, then he tells him that Fargus is dead, and all he says is, that's tragic. He doesn't care.
So that night, when he gets back to his room, he hides the book behind the room's mini fridge.
Yep.
It's the fridge is in a cabinet.
Which I thought was a stupid place to hide it, but anyway. Whatever.
Well, I think at this point hiding it might not be smart anyways, but
he doesn't want it with him.
He's the protagonist, and he did what was written for him to do.
Yes.
So he goes back to see Baroness Kessler on the secretary's lunch break.
He tells her he's got a peace offering for her.
He's made copies of the engravings in Balkan's book.
Right.
To show her that they don't match her book. So
first, she gets all pissed off. First, she's like, what are you talking about? My book is fake, right?
Yeah. So she then tells her too, I think all 3 copies are genuine, but that they have variations. And so each has 3 of the Lucifer engravings, which makes the total of 9 across all 3 books.
Yep.
And so she lets him look at the book, and he's right. But while he's looking at the book, he gets knocked out again.
And don't forget, you were talking about how no smoking around the books. Remember, she gives him permission to look at the books, and he's sitting there, and he pulls out a cigarette, and you're wondering how she would have even known it, but all you hear a voice off screen. You do not have permission to do that in my library, Mr. Corso.
Not have permission for that.
Yeah, that was what I thought. That was pretty funny.
So he gets knocked out because he's a noir detective, and noir detectives get knocked out
twice. My goodness.
And when he comes to, the Baroness's wheelchair is in the corner of the room, bumping into the wall. And he goes over to investigate, and she is dead in a wheelchair.
Strangled with her tongue hanging out.
Yeah, she is very dead.
Yes. Oh, yeah, she's dead.
And the outer room is on fire. So he tries to get her copy of the book, but he can't.
I can't get it.
So then he goes back to the hotel, and that's when he discovers that someone has stolen the copy of the book that he hid, the Balkan copy.
Yep. And then he goes down to the desk and he says something was stolen. Has anyone been in my room? And the guy tells him, just your wife. My wife? I don't have a wife.
I don't have a wife. And of course, that's when Balkan calls again.
And that's when, remember, he's asking who the woman was. And how does the guy describe her? 40-ish, dishy, something like that.
Yeah, he definitely says she's dishy, dark hair and dishy.
I love that. Yeah, and then
so
Balkan
he has to admit to Balkan that the book is gone.
Well, remember, before that, he tells him, also, first, Fargus is dead, Kessler's dead, he did his work, and he's like, oh, straight, I'm in town, by the way, randomly.
Right.
Why don't we meet up?
So bring me my book back.
Right. And he goes, well, there's more bad news. And then he tells him whatever, his silence, and Balkan says, you listen to me, Mr. Corso, listen to me very carefully. As you know, I'm a man who goes about doing whatever to go to great lengths to get whatever I want. I want my book returned double time, or, it's going to be your ass, basically. And he just hangs up on him. And he's like, crap.
Yeah. So since Mrs. Telfer seems to be the culprit here, Corso and the girl go to her hotel, and she's just checking out. So they get in a taxi. Well, they try to get in a taxi to follow them. He can't get a taxi.
This is what makes the movie even better. They get in a Dodge Viper.
Yes, she steals a red Dodge Viper, and he's like, this is going to be really hard to tail them in. It's a really obvious car. And she's like, most people would kill to be in this car.
Yes. One of my favorite cars in one of my favorite movies. So there you go, right there.
Oh, it's
and then of course they're driving in that beautiful, down the those French highways, the French countryside they're going to. So it's visually very nice to look at. Yeah. So Telfer and her crony are in a Rolls Royce, I believe.
Yes, and they follow them, and they sort of sneakily follow them until they get to Miss Telfer's chateau.
Well, remember they lose them because they get stuck behind that truck.
Well, yeah,
and then they end up kind of lost, and they're sitting here, trying to figure out where to go. And the girl asked Corso, which way do we go? He said, I don't know. You tell me. You know everything. And she says, if you say so. And they're sitting there trying to figure out left or right. And she asked him what was Telfer's maiden name, Saint Martin. And right in front of them is a sign pointing that way. Oh, okay. Well, here we go.
To Saint Martin.
That's right.
So, yeah. So, obviously, her family at one point must have been rich.
Yeah.
And still maybe, I mean, she's rich now from her husband, Mr. Telfer, but maybe the Saint Martins still are too. Who knows? And there's a chateau there.
They go and they see that guy in the bake shop first. And they ask him if he knows where Saint Martin is. And he says, yeah, blah, 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 chateau. And he goes, chateau, I knew it.
Yeah, chateau, I knew it. So they get to the chateau. They sneak in. She's having a party with her order.
Yes. So can I say just one thing about chateaus and these parties? I'm just going to make a disclaimer here. It's more of inviting myself. So I really, really love the movie Eyes Wide Shut as well, which we won't discuss. It's not really in our topic, but it's great. Watch it, please. And they have, that giant party as well there. I'm just going to make a plea, not a plea, but just I'm going to throw it out there. If any one of our listeners has these giant parties that happen in costumes and chateaus, please invite me, because I would be more than happy to attend one of them. That's it. That's all I had to say.
I would love to attend the costume party. I don't know how I feel about the orgy.
Oh, I want to attend every part of these events.
Yeah, I know you do.
And if anyone does one of these, as I said, please invite me, and I will be more than happy to attend.
You go do the orgies. I'll be downstairs in the basement doing the satanic rituals.
Oh, I mean, that's one of my favorite parts of the satanic ritual. My goodness gracious, yes. But anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah.
So she's having the party with her order, and they break into her bedroom to get the book. Right. They get it, but she comes in, and she pulls a gun.
Yep.
And then her henchman shows up, and he takes them to the basement to kill them, but they get the jump on him, and they get back upstairs.
Throws him down the stairs.
Yeah, and they get back upstairs.
And then the girl's like, I didn't think you had it in you, right?
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm surprised.
Yep.
Back upstairs, Miss Telfer is leading the satanic ritual, right? and
It's kinda
Balkan
corny.
shows up. So he sneaks in. He's got like the robe, and he's like sneaking into the back
Right.
of the crowd. And Balkan shows up and just interrupts the entire ritual. and
Mumbo
is like,
jumbo, mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
Yes.
and he does the whole thing about like you'll never be able to do it. Like only I have, am his servant. Only
Charlatans. He calls them charlatans.
Charlatans.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
Yeah.
And then what
So
does he do with her?
He chokes the ever living bejesus out of her
With like her satanic pentagram necklace, basically.
with her pentagram necklace. And Corso tries to stop it, but the blonde woman flies down from the balcony to stop Corso from stopping Balkan from choking Mrs. Telfer to death.
I would not mess with her. That she would mess you up. I mean, she's got obviously superhuman strength because she's not human. But
totally.
You wouldn't want to mess with her.
Totally. So Balkan then gets away with the book.
Oh, remember tell him to the scene where he scares everybody away. Remember that? When they're all after he kills her, he's standing there. He gets his book and he's about to leave.
Oh yeah.
And he just stands there and looks at everybody and he goes, "Boo!" And everybody runs away from him.
Yeah, boo. So he gets away with the book. They go after him, but they lose him. And then
he takes off in that Range Rover. Yeah, that green Range Rover.
Yeah. But they do end up finding their way to the gorgeous ruins where Balkan is piecing together. He's got all the pages of the engravings.
Can I rewind though before we get to that part?
Oh, yeah.
So remember, he tries to chase him, but remember, he takes the Rolls Royce and he gets stuck in that little creek. And Balkan's got the Range Rover, so he's gone. So Corso doesn't remember where he went. So remember though, he gets all wet and he goes and he finds a cafe. And he has the picture, remember, with the castle on it that Balkan sent to Kessler.
Yep,
and it says,
that's right.
I'm sorry, Frida, I found it first. And he goes to the owner of the cafe and asks, excuse me, madame, do you know where this is? And her husband brings out a travel book and shows him where that castle is.
Shows them exactly where it is. Yeah,
so
that's right.
So he starts hitchhiking and doing whatever. He's in the back of a sheep truck. Remember, we love sheep from American Werewolf in London.
We love sheep.
And he goes all in on this. And he finally finds his way to this old castle. So anyway, I didn't want to leave that out.
Yeah, so you're right. That is a good part because he actually has the postcard and it's like, wait, the postcard was like a bookmark.
It was in
one of the books.
I forget where it was. It was in one.
I think it was in the Baroness's book.
I think it was. Yeah.
So he gets to this beautiful, like gorgeous,
like 12th century
ruins. Yeah. These ruins.
And it's at sunset. It's I'll talk about something in a minute, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, so he's, Balkan is there like laying out all the engravings in order, all the Lucifer engravings in order. And
might I add, he is a fantastic dresser. That pinstripe suit he has, killer.
Oh,
killer. I had to throw that out there. I'm a suit guy.
Smart dresser.
I'm a suit guy, so I just had to toss that out there. Yeah.
So Corso pulls a gun on Balkan and promptly has it taken away.
Because he tells him it's not his style.
Yeah, he's so bad at this. He's so bad at this.
He is bad.
And let me see. The next thing is
he falls through the floor. Remember?
He falls through the floor. Yeah, they're fighting, and he falls to the floor, and he's like, "I'll just let you watch."
And then he tells him the line is, what does he say? Men have been burned alive for just a glimpse of what you're about to watch.
Yes, and he pours the gasoline out around him.
He makes the ring.
Makes a circle of fire.
Makes the ring, yeah.
And he prays to Satan. And then he's like, I feel it. Like, I'm invincible. I can do anything. And like, he feels so invincible that he lights himself on fire. He pours the gasoline on himself and lights himself on fire. And guess what he discovers? Yeah. He is not invincible. Nope.
He starts lighting up like a wick. Yep.
He just goes up in flames. So
and then of course Corso puts him out of his misery and shoots him.
Yeah, Corso takes the pages. First he takes the pages.
Well, yeah, that's important.
Then
they almost
shoots
burned
him to put him out of his misery.
I would have let the dude burn, but that's whatever. So.
And he gets out. He gets in his car, and who's there? But the girl.
Yes. Now, I will say real quick, and you'll appreciate this. Anyone that watched the movie, I hope. This is where one of these moments of composition, and I mean like shot composition, There's that shot after he walks out of the tower and the castle is burning, and the shot is framed where we see we're facing the castle would be the back of the camera's shot, and Corso is framed on the right side of the frame. You can see the reflection in the car and in his face of the burn of the castle burning. The sunset behind him is like out of control, beautiful, and the Range Rover is sitting back there just out of focus on the left-hand side of the frame. Like the cop, when I watch it, I'm not even lying about when I watch it. I literally press pause and I just stare at that shot because
it's a great shot.
It is like mesmerizingly beautiful, and that composition there is just like that is what a movie is all about right there. I mean, it is. He's in the south of France, God knows where, and we're just in this incredible story. And like, could you imagine being in that situation? That is just anyway. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I mean, that is the kind of thing that that master filmmakers can do.
And that's what makes that movie. Yeah, and then of course the girl, and then
so the blonde is there.
Yep,
she kisses him, and then they're just having sex on the ground outside the burning ruins.
And that shot is amazing because she's there.
There's
and
that shot that angles up to her.
Yes, and behind her is the castle just totally in flames.
It's just flames, and she's like she looks scary when she's having sex with him. Like she starts looking scary. Is this sexy.
This? Would you agree with it? Is her face changing to a different person? Like as this goes, it looks like she's morphing like into someone else as this whole scene goes on, right?
I didn't see that. I just saw her face getting like kind of like terrifying.
Right. She's sitting there and she's riding him, and she's just her face almost. You see, it's her. But for a second, her face almost becomes another woman and then comes back and then changes again. Like she's almost changing. And her eyes are like that glowing cat green again.
Her eyes are doing that glowing thing.
I mean, that scene, you talk about some satanic stuff. Oh, my God.
Yeah. It's
up
creepy.
There with one of the great scenes of just like, holy cow. And you can, what she's... I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, that sequence right there is masterful.
It's a great sequence. Oh. So then the next morning, she tells Corso that the 9th engraving was a forgery, and so he has to go back to the Seigner brothers in Portugal to get the real one.
They stop at the gas station.
He goes back there. Oh, they stop at the gas station, right?
Remember that? Because remember, she tells him it didn't work. They're driving back, and she tells him it didn't work because the 9th engraving was a forgery. And then immediately he's like, where is it? I want it. And at this point, you can tell he's not just curious anymore. He needs this. He's obsessed with this, and he has to have this. So they stop, because then she tells him you're low on gas. So he goes in, gets gas, and goes in a little mini mart and comes back out. And of course, she's gone.
Yeah, and then she's gone.
And the phony engraving is sitting on the windshield, and it says what's the brother's name again? I forget. What'd you say?
The Seigner brothers.
And it says on there, Seigner brothers. So now he knows where to go.
So now he knows where to go. So he goes back to Portugal, and he gets there, and it's not a bookstore anymore. Like it's just completely pretty much empty. And there's these 2 workmen there, played by the same guy who played the Seigner brothers.
Hilarious. I love that. Yeah.
Which almost makes me wonder sometimes if the Seigner brothers were as real as
right.
they seemed in the beginning. Like maybe they're part of this hellish.
There's definitely something to question, I would say.
Thing. Yeah. So they're gone, but he does find the page. It like shakes loose from the rafters or something when the workmen are doing something.
That part is amazing because the 2 workmen don't speak English, and Corso doesn't speak Portuguese, so he can't talk to them. So at this point, he's like, damn, I'm screwed at this point. What am I going to do? And he's about to walk out, and they're moving this big drawer, this big dresser, like this 10-foot dresser. And as it starts to lean over, you see a piece of paper covered in dust fall off, and you go, immediately, you go, oh my God, that's it. Yeah,
that's it. And then, so the last bit, after he finds the page, you see him back at the ruins. And he's just walking into the light in the gate that's the entrance to the ruins. Yep. And that's the end. That's it.
And you're sitting there and you start going, you're like, this is the best movie ever.
Like, I love it because it's like the hero's journey, but it's like this dark hero's journey.
Yeah.
Where instead of like,
he was on.
Yeah, instead of like finding himself and becoming this like good, better person or whatever, he has actually gone through the journey of finding out that, that people are trying to raise the devil,
Uh,
and then finding out that like it might be real, and then becoming utterly obsessed with it,
yes.
and then in the end,
Yeah.
question mark, doing
So, okay, there's lots. We're not going to spend forever on it, but
it.
so I,
Although we could.
oh, I mean, I could spend the rest of my life on it, quite frankly. So it is he is he going into the underworld? Is he going into hell, or is he enlightened? And is he going into, or is the ninth gate a place that brings you to enlightenment and gets you out of hell? Which one
Well,
is it? Right?
and like, okay, so the other thing I
I
wonder
don't know.
is he
Interpretation.
completing the ritual by going through the gate, or did he complete it when he had sex with the girl?
So good
Or was
question.
that part of it?
Okay,
Like, did that complete the ritual and then he just had to go, because when he finds the real one,
yeah.
the real final engraving,
Yeah.
it has her face on the lady riding the beast.
So she's the whore of Babylon, right?
Right.
Right. That's one
So
interpretation of it.
was him having sex with her actually the completion of
Right. Yeah.
the rite?
Pretty
Yeah.
much. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so at the end, I think it is the ninth gate that he's walking through. Like that
Sure.
is now the portal. But
Sure.
I don't know what happens then. Does he walk through and does he meet Satan? Does he walk towards it and Satan comes out
Right.
after we cut? Like,
Right.
does he go in and now he's in hell?
Or
we don't know.
Was he living in hell? And yeah, and it's actually the other way around, and he now is enlightened by finding this. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right, but that's what it is. I mean, the nine gates, the kingdom of shadows, is a puzzle, and you
Yeah.
need to put it together by finding the right pieces. And the problem was Balkan was obsessed with these material things and having these, and he really had no faith and no understanding of what was really happening here. He just
Mhm.
wanted power, and he didn't people that say they want to worship the devil, they don't even know what the hell they're talking about. No one understands what they're saying when they say those things. So you don't even really know what you're getting yourself into. When
Mhm.
you've got a case of Corso, he's a book dealer who is just trying to make a living, and what did he say in the movie? He believes in his percentage when somebody asks him something. He's just trying to do his thing. But he gets into this, and he gets into a world that, quite frankly, it reminds me a little bit of Pet Sematary, sort of, where look at the power of that burial ground, right? You cannot a human being cannot resist that kind of power.
Right.
He buries his whole family there, and in this case, he finds a book that could lead to incredible afterlife or eternity or Satan or who the heck knows what it is. You wouldn't. I'm gonna tell you right now, if that book was real, you would never see me ever again, because I would go into that gate and I would never return. Let me tell you. I'll be very honest.
I would be really tempted to go through that gate.
That's what I mean. You can't resist something like that. You cannot do it.
Just the sheer curiosity of like,
Right.
is it real? What
Right.
will actually happen? Like,
Right.
humans are very curious creatures.
And it's interesting in the movie, throughout the movie, he thinks it's all nonsense. And then as the movie evolves, he totally buys more and more into this, and he starts to be like, oh my God, this is insane. This is crazy. Right. Oh.
Yeah. And he's already not what you would call a good guy.
He's not an awful person, but I mean, he's just a
But
dude.
he's not a great person. Like
No, he's not.
He's committing basically fraud.
Yeah.
He's
Pretty much.
whatever. He's not a great guy. And so he is kind of ripe to be led, quote unquote, astray
Sure.
by the girl.
Yeah. And
the book.
So yeah, and that part, that's obviously open ended, of course. Is she the whore of Babylon? Is she an angel to guide him to this? Is she one of Satan's gatekeepers, devils? One of Satan's demons? I don't know what she is.
Is she Satan?
Yeah. There you go. Sure. That's purposely left open ended. We know that's not supposed to be answered, I don't think.
I definitely think that she's worked on the side of evil, of Satan, and that he has. But then I love movies like that where in the end the protagonist goes with evil. there are a few other movies where that happens, and
Oh
I
yeah.
love those movies.
Heck
They're
yeah.
just because they turn it on its head with the like everybody always resisting evil. There's people who
Uh-huh.
wouldn't.
Well, like I said, if that happened to me, I'm out of here. You're never going to see me again. I'm gone to wherever that world is. So, in case anyone's wondering, the 9 gates, the engravings, right? I
Hmm.
guess they're written in Greek or Latin or whatever, so you got to decipher them, right? So, if you're interested, the first gate, which has the knight on the horseback and he's making the quiet symbol with his finger over his mouth,
Hmm.
silence is golden. The second gate engraving is the man with the keys in his hand.
Hmm.
They open that which is closed. The third gate, which is the guy shooting the arrow from above, the lost word keeps the secret. The fourth gate has the picture of the jester looking at the closed up door. Fate is not the same for all. The fifth gate has a man counting his money with a skeleton beside him. In vain. Sixth gate is the man hanging upside down that his buddy from the bookstore had. I am enriched by death. The seventh gate has the people playing chess. Remember, one was a white chessboard, one was a black chessboard.
Hmm.
The disciple surpasses the master, which is interesting. The whole story arc in there as well. The eighth gate, it's a priest. There's a man kneeling, and there's like a knight above him with a mace, and he's like getting ready to clobber him from behind. Virtue lies defeated. And the ninth gate, of course, is the woman riding the seven-headed, the whore of Babylon, we think. Now I know that from darkness comes light. So those are your 9 gates engravings, and those are
Nice.
translated into English. Yep.
Nice.
So yeah, they
That's
all
awesome.
yeah. So it's that puzzle you got to figure it out. Remember, Balkan's he has him in front of him, and he's reading. What turns out is he reads completely the wrong thing. That's why it didn't work for him, or we think
Yep.
it didn't. Yeah, because he didn't know what the heck he was doing.
Right.
Because look,
So,
if Satan is real, he's going to test you, and you have to do it right. You have to do things properly to gain into his kingdom.
oh yeah. Yeah, you have to have
Yep.
the right the goods, as it were.
Yeah, or you will be punished as he was, and he burned to death for it. So there you go.
So this movie, by the way, was based on a book which I have not read, but I really want
And I'm
to.
embarrassed to admit I haven't either.
Yeah, I really want to read the book.
What is it? Club Dumas? Club Dumas?
The Club Dumas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Spanish,
Dumas, depending on how you pronounce it.
Spanish author, or is he Portuguese?
I'm not
I
sure.
think he's Spanish. And it was only written in the early 90s, so it's not
Let
old.
me see.
Right?
He is Spanish. He's from Spain.
Early 90s book, right? Fairly new book.
You know what? I'm not
Yeah, I
sure.
think
I'm not
is.
even sure when it was written, you guys, but I want to read it now.
Well, as we know, every movie is based on a book, of course. So.
Well, and the book is always better. No, not always.
Not always. Not always.
Definitely not always.
Not always.
Often different though. So I'll be interested to see how this differs. So let's see, is there anything else we want to talk about?
Like I said, if we could just
everything.
go on for hours and hours and hours. But you know what? It's just this atmospheric. I mean, look, Europe is beautiful. You can't beat walking around little towns in Europe and, the coffee shops. And that is what's so, it's so neat to see that. Those villas and those chateaus. That's so cool to see that stuff. And castles in Europe are just so. And oh, by the way, it's in the south of France. That castle is real. You can go there. The one at the end of the movie. You can go there. So if anybody goes, please send us photos. I will go at some point.
Yes.
It's like an 11th century ruin. It's very cool. So yeah. I just love the whole atmosphere of it. Yeah, seeing these quaint little, European places, and it's so cool to see that. And just this seedy underbelly of what these wealthy people spend their time doing, basically. Like I said, I'm kind of half joking about these, aristocratic parties they have. Well, I'm not joking. But, it's just such an interesting story. It just, it just oozes with like sinister, storyline. It's just, it's so evil. I love it.
I love it.
The fact, I made that Pet Cemetery connection. It's like, I don't want to go bury people in there, but I want to live somewhere near where a place like that exists. And I want a book like this to exist.
Yes. You compared it to Pet Cemetery. Man. I compared a little bit to the Witch.
Oh.
Because of that journey into the darkness
I
and
know.
the evil. I love
I
it. So
know.
we're going to do that one at some point.
Oh,
But our next movie will be Ravenous.
Oh,
And if you're
so
going
good.
to watch it, it is the 1990s Ravenous, not the one from a
99,
couple
right?
years
Or
ago.
2000, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one from the 90s, not the one from like 2016 or 2017.
Which we've heard
not
is
that
good
one.
though, right? Yeah.
And we've heard that one's good, so we'll
Yeah.
probably do that at some point.
Yeah. Okay.
But this time we're doing the horror western Ravenous.
So good.
And before we go, please, if you enjoyed the podcast, guys, rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you're listening so that more people can find us. And don't forget, send us your movie suggestions and send us your like stories and thoughts about the movies we've watched so far at thescarymoviepodcast@gmail.com. That's thescarymoviepodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear what you guys think about this or your stories about how you've interacted with movies or visited places in the movies or whatever. We love that stuff and we'd love to hear it and share it.
And if you have a copy of The Nine Gates of the Kingdom of Shadows, please let us know so we can take a look at it.
Yes.
By the way,
maybe
you can
maybe send us a Xerox of it.
So you can totally buy like a phony edition of it on Amazon, I think, which I should probably do at some point.
Oh, so cool.
And put it on the pedestal like Balkan has it, his little thing. Yeah.
That's so cool. I just want it in PDF and I'll read it on my Kindle.
Oh, I gotta have the actual bound. You gotta have the bound book with the pentagram on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That would be really cool. It would go out in my library.
Oh yeah.
My bookshelf for sure.
Oh yeah.
Definitely. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for listening. Yes. And keep in touch. And we will talk to you next time.
Later.
Later.